If you had gotten a $60,000 salary just 15 years ago, you would be making $90,000 today. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah is 34 years old. She makes $85,000 per year. On paper, this sounds like success. She is in the top 20% of earners in her country. She should feel rich, but Sarah does not feel rich. Sarah feels broke. Here is her actual budget. Sarah gets paid bi-weekly. That is $3,260 before taxes. After taxes, she takes home $2,458 every 2 weeks. Not because you got smarter, but because you got trapped. The problem? You think your salary makes you rich? It doesn't. Your salary was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to keep you busy enough to stay poor. Over the next 15 minutes, I am going to explain in detail exactly why this is happening to you, so clearly that you will wonder why no one has ever told you this before. Welcome to DAM, the salary trap. Why the system keeps you broke. Now watch what happens next. Quick pause. I recently started this channel to break down economics in a simple way. We are still at the very beginning, so every subscriber really matters. If this kind of content helps you understand the world better, consider subscribing. It helps me keep going and make even better videos. Thanks. Let us continue. Rent, $1,200. That is almost half of what she has. The car payment, insurance, and gas, $550. Groceries and dining out, $400. Utilities, $140. Phone, internet, and subscriptions, $120. That is $2,410. She has $2,458. Do the math. Sarah has $48 of actual freedom every 2 weeks. That is 1.9% of her income. She is making 6 figures and cannot afford to take a weekend trip without panic. You know what is worse? Sarah does not even see this money leaving. It does not feel like deprivation. She has a nice apartment. She drives a reliable car. She looks successful. The system is genius because it makes you comfortable enough not to ask the question that matters. Why am I not building wealth? This is the salary trap, and it is working perfectly. You have to understand something. Your inability to get ahead is not a personal failure. It is not because you are bad with money. It is because the entire system was engineered this way. It starts in school. The education system trains you from age 5 to follow 3 rules. Show up on time, follow instructions, and trade your time for external validation, grades. Fast forward 18 years, you graduate, and suddenly, trading time for validation feels natural. You get a job. You trade 8 hours for a paycheck. The system has already won. Now, back in the 1980s and 1990s, corporations made a brilliant financial move. They stopped offering pensions. A pension was guaranteed. If you worked for a company for 40 years, you got paid for life, no matter what happened to the stock market. The company took the risk. Then came the 401k. The 401k shifted all the risk from the corporation to you. Now, if the stock market crashed, you were devastated. If you did not save enough, you suffered. The company no longer cares what happens to you after you leave. This was a massive transfer of wealth and risk from the institution to the individual. But here is the problem. The 401k only works if you actively save. But who actively saves when they are living paycheck to paycheck like Sarah? Most workers do not have the extra cash to contribute, so they got trapped without a safety net. Educator John Taylor Gatto spent 30 years in the classroom and noticed something disturbing. The school system does not teach you to think independently. It teaches you to be a subordinate, compliant, predictable, dependent on institutions. This is intentional because a workforce that thinks independently is a workforce that builds businesses, asks questions, and leaves jobs. A workforce that is conditioned to obey is a workforce that stays put. In the 1960s, one person's salary could support an entire family, a house, kids, a car, all on one income. Then women entered the workforce en masse. Household income doubled. Families should have been rich, right? They were not. Instead, housing prices surged. Childcare costs exploded. College became unaffordable. School districts became status symbols. Families found themselves bidding against each other for these positional goods. The second income was not extra money for freedom. It was just enough to keep up. Today, A dual-income household has less discretionary money than a single-income household from the 1970s. And if one person loses their job, the family faces instant catastrophe. The system has you trapped because you need both salaries just to survive. Now comes the psychological trap. You get your first job making $60,000. Life improves. You upgrade your apartment. You get a nicer car. You feel successful. 5 years later, you get promoted. Now you are making $75,000. You tell yourself you will save the extra $15,000. But the moment the money hits your account, it vanishes. You move to a better neighborhood. Your rent goes up. Your car needs an upgrade. Before you realize it, you are spending all $75,000. Economists call this the ratchet effect. Consumption goes up easily. Consumption goes down painfully. You have trained yourself to need this lifestyle. You cannot go backward. The problem is that your expenses now match your income perfectly. Every single raise gets absorbed. You are on a hedonic treadmill. The goalpost always moves. You make more, you spend more, you feel just as stressed. In 2024, the subscription economy hit a global value of $1.5 trillion. Let that sink in. Instead of buying one song, you pay for Spotify. Instead of buying one movie, you pay for Netflix. Instead of buying one book, you pay for Kindle Unlimited. The average American now spends $219 per month on subscriptions. That is $2,628 per year. For most people, these are active until they die. The genius of subscriptions is that they are low friction. You do not feel like you are spending money. It is just $12 here, $15 there. But these micro cuts are drowning you. This is death by 1,000 cuts. And then there is buy now, pay later. Instead of saving $100 for something you want, you split it into 4 payments of $25. It feels affordable, but your future paychecks are already spoken for. You are making promises to companies before you even earn the money. Now here is where the trap becomes truly dark. This is not just happening to entry-level workers. This is happening to people making $100,000. People making $200,000. The higher you climb, the more golden the handcuffs become. So how do you escape? Not by working harder, not by getting another promotion. You escape by understanding one thing. Income is not wealth. Your $100,000 salary is temporary income. You will get old. You will lose it. But assets, things that earn money while you sleep, those are permanent wealth. Think about the difference. An asset is a rental property that generates rent. It is a business that runs without you. It is code that sells on the internet. It is media that generates royalties. An asset works for you. A salary requires you to show up. Naval Ravikant, a Silicon Valley investor, breaks this down in one equation. To get rich, you need 3 things. First, specific knowledge. This is knowledge nobody taught you in school, something that comes from obsession and curiosity. Second, accountability. You have to take risks under your own name. When you work for a corporation, you hide behind the company name. You get a paycheck, but zero upside. Third, and most important, leverage. Leverage is the multiplication factor. A salary has 0 leverage. 1 hour of work equals 1 hour of pay. That is it. But a software product? Code runs on 1 million computers simultaneously. Your effort multiplied infinitely. That is leverage. Meet David. David works in tech and makes 6 figures. He should be rich. He is miserable. Why? Because his entire life is already owned. His mortgage is $400,000. His kids go to private school. His wife took a job with less pay because childcare was too expensive. Every year, he thinks about leaving the corporate world and starting his own thing. But the moment he thinks about it, his stomach drops. One day, David gets a promotion, $20,000 more per year. He exhales. Finally, some breathing room. Within 3 months, his mortgage adjusts upward, his son needs braces, and his car requires expensive repairs. Instantly, his financial stress returns to the exact same level. This is the final trap. The ratchet effect does not stop. Your obligations will always expand to consume your income, no matter how much you make. Here is the real strategy. Do not quit tomorrow, but start attacking the gap. The gap is the space between what you earn and what you spend. Every dollar you save is a dollar that gives you freedom. When Sarah cuts her spending by $200 per month, that is not sacrifice. That is buying back $200 of her time. She can work 4 hours less per month. That is freedom. Then, in that freed time, start building something with leverage. Maybe it is a YouTube channel. Maybe it is an online course. Maybe it is freelance coding. The key is that you are building an asset, something that works for you without your constant presence. Ramit Sethi, a financial educator, says something important. Do not cut spending on things you love. Cut spending on things you do not even think about. Subscriptions you forgot you have. Apps you never use. Recurring charges that drain your account silently. Find that low-friction waste and kill it. Then, spend more on the things that actually make you happy. This is conscious spending. It is not frugality. It is intention. Morgan Housel, an investor and author, says that the hardest financial skill is not earning money. It is knowing when enough is enough. Your salary will never feel like enough because your desires will always grow faster than your income. You have to actively define what enough looks like. Here is the truth that nobody tells you. The salary trap is not a mistake. It is not an oversight. It is a system. From the day you enter school, you are conditioned to trade time for money. When you graduate, you trade time for a salary. When you get a raise, you upgrade your lifestyle. When you want to leave, you cannot because your obligations have grown. Every part of this is engineered. But the moment you see it, the moment you understand the mechanism, everything changes. You stop asking how to make more money. You start asking why all your money leaves. You stop blaming yourself. You start blaming the system. And when you see the system, you cannot unsee it. You cannot go back to pretending that more money is the answer. Because more money never works as long as your spending rises with it. The escape is simple. Attack the gap. Stop lifestyle inflation. Build an asset. Use that asset to generate income independent of your time. You were not born to trade your life for a paycheck. You were born to build something. The salary trap is comfortable, but comfort is not freedom. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos breaking down financial concepts into plain language, and drop a comment telling me what financial concept you want explained next. Thanks for watching.